everyone, and welcome to another update with Bookish with Mariah. I'm Mariah and welcome back to my booktube channel. I am so excited to be filming a video for you all. It has been a little while since I uploaded, probably like 2 weeks, so it hasn't been that long, but still I have been so busy, and I feel like I deserve, well, not I deserve, you all deserve to kind of know what's going on with me and why it has taken me a while to upload a video for you all. So I'm going to give you all a brief life update. So some of the things that has been going on with me, first off, let me apologize for the lighting in this room. I am struggling with lighting today, so just try to overlook it in this video. It is annoying me today, but I'm trying my best to get the lighting right, so just ignore it for now. I hope it's good enough. But anyway, some things that has been going on with me is some really exciting news. I actually recently took a new position in my current job. So I have told you all before that I'm an educator. I work in higher education with college students. And now I have taken a even bigger role in my current job. Well, not my current job. I have a new job basically, but it's at the same university that I was working at before. So I'm really excited, and that has taken up a lot of my November because I just started at the beginning of November. So that has taken quite a bit of time. And so that's one of the reasons why I haven't been able to upload like I wanted to, because I've been focused so much on my new role, which I love, y'all. Like, I'm really excited. I'm still teaching my first my class that I told you all about, the first year studies course. So I'm still teaching that on the side as well. Something I love to do. Really excited about that. So that's still ongoing as well. But I took a new role at the university. And I'm just moving up in my career. So I did get busy for the month of November. Way busier than I thought I was going to be. So wow. Another life update is my husband and I are taking steps to make grown-up moves because, you know, we just are, and it's just time. So we are moving forward when it comes to, like, you know, the house buying process and learning about that process and, you know, taking the early stages of what you should do to purchase a home. So that has taken up a lot of time. So really excited about that, but it's time consuming. And then finally, I'm getting ready on my family channel. I've told you all before that I do run a second YouTube channel, and it is called Locked In with the Liggins. So make sure you all subscribe to that channel and check out that channel if you would love to see more of me and learn more about me outside of the booktube realm. On that channel, I upload videos about our family, travel, natural hair care product videos, what else, infertility videos, because my husband and I have gone through infertility. So we upload videos about our infertility journey and DIY videos. So definitely check it out, because really soon my family, we actually celebrate Hanukkah, so we're going to be uploading a lot of videos for Vlognukkah. So I have been prepping a lot of stuff for that. I know you all have probably heard a lot of people celebrating Vlogmas, which is for Christmas. We celebrate differently. We celebrate Hanukkah, so we would be doing Vlognukkah. So we have a lot of videos coming for you all. I actually just uploaded some videos about natural hair care product videos today, so definitely head over to that channel and check it out. And it is so much fun. So I've been on that channel a lot, keeping it updated, and so I haven't been able to upload here, but I'm so excited to be doing a new video for you all today. All right, so enough about my life updates. On to today's video. So just to tell you all about some of the videos that you all are going to see coming out on this channel really soon, that I already have filmed and scheduled for you all. I am going to be finally, oh my gosh, I have said this so many times on this channel, but I got to get to it before the year is out. So I'm dedicating a lot of the rest of the year on my booktube channel doing the book reviews I have wanted to do all year. I have not gotten a chance to get to them. I've only been on YouTube or booktube since July of this year, so not very long at all, but still there was some books that I read that I absolutely loved, and I felt like they deserved more recognition. So I wanted to do some a review for those books. And today is going to be my first review. Well, not my first review, because I've reviewed one book before, and I'll link it above or below this video so you can check it out. I did L.L. McKinney's A Blaze So Black. So today I'm going to be reviewing a book that I absolutely loved. I read it in August 2020. I read it with Shelf Space Book Club with Jessie May, which you all always hear me talk about her, and I linked her booktube channel and her Shelf Space Book Club information below almost every one of my videos, because I love her book recs and I love the book club. And I read this book, and it has really touched me and I really enjoyed it. That is, you can tell by the title of this video, but anyway, The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Alright, so The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin is actually an urban fantasy. This was one of my first times reading an N.K. Jemisin book. I have another N.K. Jemisin book that I own on my bookshelf I haven't gotten to yet. It's actually a part of a trilogy. It's a fantasy, and I picked this one up because of the book club, and so I was like, okay, let me read this one first. I think this one is probably gonna turn into maybe like a trilogy or a series from what I'm hearing, so I'm definitely gonna be picking up the second book as soon as it comes out. But it is an urban fantasy. It's taking place in New York City, and it is awesome. So let's first talk about the aesthetic, just based off of the way it looks and the cover. I thought the cover was stunning, absolutely stunning. Honestly, I loved the cover from the first time I saw it because I like the colors on it, like the yellows and the blues, and how they kind of look like a glow in the dark or like a neon type of feel to it. And I love how the city is glowing. It's beautiful. So here is the cover. So when I first saw the cover, I liked it, but after reading the book, I appreciate the cover even more. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to go into more details about that like now. So The City We Became is basically about 5 characters. They are in New York City, all of them for whatever reason. Some people grew up in New York City. You got some people migrating to New York City, but for whatever reason, they're all in New York City for their own purposes. And you have 5 different boroughs of New York. So you have the Bronx, Brooklyn, Queens, Staten Island, and downtown Manhattan. And those are the different characters that this story follows. This story actually follows them in different perspectives. So you'll switch from New York at one point, not New York, but Queens at one point, and then you'll go to Brooklyn story at one point. And you really get a chance to get to know these characters in so many different aspects, so many different realms, and you're following different characters. But they all have something in common. They all represent a borough of New York City. So that person is a person that can feel the city. That person, that they can see things that other people in the city cannot see. That person can feel when something is changing inside of that city. It's basically they become the city. So that's why it's called The City We Became. They are chosen to become a borough of the city. No one truly understands or knows why certain people are chosen. They just are selected. And I think throughout the trilogy or the series that this way become, we'll start to understand a little bit more to why that happens and why people are selected the way that they are. And with that being said, looking at the cover, there is an evil that's basically taking over the city that not everybody can see. So the people that are boroughs in that city, they can see that evil. They have a spiritual eye to where they can actually see that evil taking over all of New York City. Everybody else is pretty much just functioning like normal, but these people can actually see what's going on. And when you look at the cover, you basically just see New York City glowing, right? And when the city glows, the city is coming alive. And it's just glowing, right? But then when you look closely at the cover, you see this tentacle. Really faint. It's like a shadow. If you can see it on my camera, I hope. You see that tentacle? That's the evil coming up from the city. But if you're not looking close enough, look, it just looks like a regular book. But this is the evil coming up. And I appreciated that so much because looking at it on an aesthetic basis, it's beautiful because you don't see it. It's also one like right over here. Probably can't see that one as well on camera, but there it is. But that evil, when you look at it on a spiritual realm, is basically an invisible evil, unspeakable evil that is taking over the world, taking over New York City, and basically killing this city. So that was basically me also explaining the plot while I talked about the aesthetic of the book. That's basically the plot. You know, these 5 people, they are fighting this invisible evil, and they are trying to take back New York City and save New York City basically from itself and this evil that's trying to take over it. You have this one villain that's here that's spearheading all of it. Her name is, she's the lady in white, and she is one of those people that are the spearheading this magical, unspeakable invisible evil that's wreaking havoc on this city, and these people are doing everything they can to try to fight against it because they have spiritual ties and so much connected to that city in one way or the other. They all have some kind of connection to the city. They all represent some part of that city, and they are trying to make sure that the city does not die, because when a city dies, it's very unfortunate, and when the city dies, it dies in so many different ways. I can't explain how that city dies because I don't want to give too much away of the book, but I will say once that city dies, it is a chain reaction to a whole lot of other things for the rest of the whole entire world. So this New York City being taken over by this invisible evil is not just about its dying just for the sake of New York City to die. It affects the whole entire world when it does die, because what it represents is that death represents so much more in the spiritual realm. Representation in this book is a big deal. You have people that's coming from all walks of life. You have black people represented in this book. You have people from the LGBTQIA community represented in this book. You have people that are from different parts of the world, so international people that are represented in this book. You have so many different types of representation. You have young people, you have older people, you have more seasoned people, you have people from everywhere, really. So another thing that I appreciate about this book is the representation that it has to connect to people from so many different walks of life. You know, you have people that's also represented in this book that are English is their second language, so I really thought that was really cool. So I thought it was cool, like having so many different characters to follow and them being from so many different places. It was really, really cool because I really appreciated how they connected to New York City and what brought them there and their different circumstances and situations that they were going through that connected them to the city in a different way. And so I thought that was really, really awesome. A whole lot of representation in here. I will say, if you are a person that is driven by characters, you're real character driven, I would say this is probably a good book for you, because it focused a lot on the characters, in my opinion, and I felt like I really appreciated what it did for the characters to introduce them to this story. Now, there were a lot of holes and pockets where I felt like some information was missing, or things could have been included a little bit more for more details pertaining to the characters, but I will say this is a series or trilogy. There will be more books after this, so I tried to give the book some grace because, hey, you know, it's probably going to be a lot more added to it. One of the things that won me over about this book was the representation in this book, and also the characters in this book. I connected so well with so many of the characters here, and I really appreciated their stories, and I really loved the way things was, a whole lot of aspects was used in this book. So I'm going to give you an example of one of the things that I love the most about the characters and how things was used in this book. So this book was really driven very heavily by some of the things that makes New York City, New York, like the originating things that makes New York, New York. So, for example, one of the characters had a gift to interpret art. So she would see art. She was able to interpret that art and what it meant. She was able to paint herself very, very well. And one of her gifts was also like a historical, or the gifts of knowledge and knowing history and why things happen the way that they do in her city. And I loved how the N.K.Jemisin used art in this way, because you were able to really, her descriptions of the beautiful art pieces that was inside of her art gallery and inside of the city, all over New York City. N.K.Jemisin really talked a lot about how that art made her part of New York. Like, I think this was the character Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken, or the Bronx. I could be wrong, but it was one of those characters that had the ability, I think it was the Bronx, but had the ability with art. Basically, those art pieces that were around New York, like graffiti and beautiful murals and artwork, made that part of the city that part of the city. Like, it was special to that part of the city, and it gave that part of the city like its own personality, and it was a big part of it for the people that was around there in the community. And when these big corporations came into the city and started to destroy that art, it destroyed a part of the Bronx. Like, it destroyed so much of where they were, and where they were from, and it took away the essence of the city, like the soul of the city. And so basically I felt like these characters in this book were fighting for the soul of the city. Every time a major corporation came in, it took away like a mom and pop shop off of the street. It destroyed a part of the uniqueness that made the Bronx, or Brooklyn, or Queens. It took away from that. Another character in here had a connection to music. One of the characters, I think it was Queens. I'm sorry, I might be getting this wrong on who had what gift, but one of the characters had the gift of music. She was a rapper. She had grown up with music being a big part of her life, and she talked about as she grew up as a little girl, she would see people on the street corner like rapping and doing things, and getting into cypher battles or whatnot, and she loved that, and she became known for even her lyrical ability. And she talked about how sad it was that that's something that's not available anymore, and how that just doesn't happen anymore because of now violence or things that's going on in the community that has pulled the people out of the community and stopped them from doing things that basically brought the richness to the neighborhood that made that part of New York special. And how people were losing their homes because this major corporation was moving in, having people sign contracts that they couldn't commit to in poor black neighborhoods, and it pretty much destroyed the city, that part of the city. And I really appreciated that, because that has happened to so many people in the world for real now. And these major corporations will move into these neighborhoods, destroy everything that makes the neighborhood that gives that neighborhood a soul, and they take the soul away from that neighborhood. And I thought it was beautifully done in here. Those gifts, that art ability, that music ability, like I felt that, because growing up as a kid in Tennessee, and listening to my mom and grandma talk about how so many shops have been destroyed, and so many people have their businesses taken away from them because of whatever XYZ, these major corporations move into this neighborhood and destroy what's there. Unfortunately, it takes away from the soul of the city, and these cities are dying. These parts of the city is dying because of these corporations moving in and taking away that soul. And all of the evil that I said that was popping up in the book, I truly believe that evil represented those corporations coming in, taking away that soul of the city. Another example I'll talk about when it comes to the soul of the city in here is Starbucks was mentioned a lot in this book. Some people, I watched reviews, they were like, oh, N.K.Jemisin just doesn't like Starbucks. I heard like stuff like that, but I looked at it in a very deep way. I looked at Starbucks representing what I just went on a whole 4-minute rant about. I looked at it as being such I don't want to say cheesy corporation, but it's just such a cliche. Like, there's a Starbucks everywhere. You can go anywhere and you see a Starbucks on the corner here, you see one on the corner there. They're everywhere, literally, in today's time in the real world. And honestly, I feel like sometimes, and no disrespect or no shade to anybody that likes Starbucks, definitely not putting down Starbucks. I've never really been to a Starbucks before, but I do know it's a very popular company. And I just felt like the way that it was represented in this book, in my opinion only, is that Starbucks sitting on that corner in that neighborhood had replaced another shop or another very much so monumental place in those neighborhoods, and Starbucks was basically there now, taking over or occupying that space. And it basically was one of the a representation of a major corporation that's coming in, taking over the heart of that part of the city. And a big scene is when they're riding in the car and you see Starbucks coming up, and you just see all these tentacles, because the evil in here is described as like tentacles coming out of the Starbucks trying to grab the car that they're riding in. And it just makes you think in your mind like, wow, this could be a company. This is representing, well, it made me think in my mind, this is a company that's representing a company taking over the uniqueness of that city, of that town. It's pulling away from that, because here's just another old Starbucks driving down another part of the street. Like, you just see it there. So basically, it was so much for me on the spiritual aspect. I would say my eyes was open. My eyes always have been open, but I would say this book had so much more to give than just fantasy, or just, oh, let's get rid of the bad guy and take the bad guy out. Let's come together as like a group and take out this bad guy. It was so much more than just that. And finally, I wanted to talk about the political things that were going on in this book, or the social justice issues that were mentioned in this book that I felt like was like, wow, because there's so much going on now in today's time and in the media, and I felt like this book was a good right now type of book to read, not only for the spiritual journey, but also for the way that it was talked about with political issues and social justice. So I have my book notebook right here, because I'm just going to look down and make sure I don't miss any of them. So because I took notes on some of the ones that was mentioned. So it mentions racial profiling, racial profiling when it comes to being stalked by the police. So police brutality, women's sexual violation, or being sexual exploitation, sorry, with women, that was mentioned. Growing up in an abusive household, freedom of speech, let's see, any other ones? And just having a different belief systems when it comes to religion or spirituality. All of those things were mentioned in this book, and they all had a, like played a role in this book. And so I really appreciated that, because that shows like a diversity of representation in here, and just learning about different issues. And I really appreciated how you able to see those issues from the eyes of somebody else. So even if you don't go through like racial tensions or racial profiling or police brutality, or don't know anything about those issues, by reading this book, I really like the way that it was talked about, because as you read this book, you kind of become the character. And it was really interesting to see, like, reading from those different characters' perspectives, how they dealt with those issues and what were they thinking in their minds. I have tabbed this book a lot, because so many passages in this book stood out to me. All right, so I wanted to share this quick passage with you all that was a conversation that was had in the book with some of the characters. It's so interesting, because one of my mom and I was just talking about Central Park in New York, and what the history behind Central Park is, and what it used to be, and some of the other parks that are located in New York, and some of the other monumental statues and things, and where they come from, pertaining to New York. And so I just kind of wanted to read this passage that was talked about in the book. So it says, so it says, Queens, the borough, looks like you too. So many shades of what are you, brown. But, she inhales within a little awe, Manhattan has Harlem, and Central Park used to be a black and Irish neighborhood. I read about that online somewhere. They took the land from those families to make this park. And there's that memorial downtown on Wall Street, where they found a bunch of Africans buried in unmarked graves. Slaves. Just gonna let that sit in the air for a minute. I guess some were free, but there were thousands of them, all buried under. She grimaces. Ugh, where I work? So what Manhattan is now, white people run so much of it, but it's literally built on the bones of black people. So this is one of the characters that's talking to Manhattan, because Manhattan in this book was trying to figure out his identity. He really didn't understand where he was from. He had no memory of who he is, and he also looks very racially ambiguous, like you don't know where he's from. And so that was one of the characters kind of explaining to him the history behind Manhattan, and how so many of those buildings were built on the backs and the bones of slaves and other groups that were in that area at that time, building up the city. And so that was just so interesting. This book spiritually was just on another level. I felt like I connected to it spiritually, outside of just the fantasy and like the superhero, let's fight this bad guy thing. I felt like this book was way more than just that. I would say definitely check it out. I will say N.K.Jemisin writing is not for everybody, so I will put that disclaimer out there, but I will say it's worth, at least if you have an opportunity, to try to read the first chapter somewhere for free, and then kind of see if this is the book that's for you. N.K.Jemisin does have a writing style that fits with some people, and some people it does not. But I would say for me, this book absolutely resonated with me, and I loved it. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, I felt like this was a awesome read. I thought there were so many amazing points hit that I connected to, and I felt like there were so many things, so much potential in this book and this series. I can't share all of my thoughts because I don't want to spoil anything, but I will say there was so much more to this book. I just can't stress it enough on the spiritual realm. Absolutely check this book out if you have a chance. I hope you all enjoyed this book review. So please, if you get a chance, definitely, if you like my comment, not my comment, oh my gosh, my content. I can never talk when I'm filming these videos. My content, please like and subscribe to my channel. I am definitely going to be uploading way more videos for you all for the month of December. It is my mission to do that. I just had to take some time to get personal life together, which was exciting. I had some awesome things happening that's still happening. So definitely subscribe to my channel if you like my content, because I would love to have you. Also follow me on Instagram at Bookish with Mariah. Don't forget to check out my family YouTube channel. I would love to get to know you guys on a different level outside of just books. So we are locked in with the Liggins. I will link our channel below this video so you can join the Liggins tribe if you are interested. So I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, which is probably going to be a book review because, like I said, I got to get these book reviews done. So please join me in the next video. I look forward to seeing you. If you have read The City We Became, please go ahead and let me know your thoughts on The City We Became, because I want to know. This was definitely one of my top 10 books for the year of 2020.